Sky stories of India. This is one of my favorite topics, and I just like talking about such things like how the universe, how the sky has shaped human cultures over centuries. And India is home to so many wide and diverse varieties of people, and we just grow up hearing many of these stories, and different communities and cultures have their own versions. So it's this is an interesting thing I went through reading up many of these stories, and I'm just happy to be sharing it with a larger audience. And yeah, so that's mainly the motive behind it. So before I start, I just want to clarify that yes, there was a lot of amazing things happening in India in terms of science itself, and uh, especially math and astronomy being so intertwined. There was just so much happening, say from in terms of calculus, and there was the Nalanda school, there was the Kerala school of astronomy and mathematics. So you had this rigorous system of passing down of information through time. Uh, there was the Rajput king building uh, in Jaipur and Mathura and Delhi and multiple places, observatories to study the sky. So yeah, there is a lot happening, but it's whenever I see this topic, it's always this trickiness involved, because I don't want it to be dismissive like most of Western historians. At the same time, I don't want to be blindly proud of it and like just provide tall claims with no evidences. Like I don't know, Pushpak Viman was flying around or stuff like that. So it's always tricky balancing between the both of that, and doing as much justice as I can. I've tried my best in that, but also the fact that this talk won't be focusing on the science aspect. It'll be mostly the cultural stories, the folk tales that has been passed on through generations, and how they have shaped over time and in different cultures. So that's going to be the focus. But yes, I want to acknowledge that ancient India has contributed so much in terms of math science. Genuinely, so much stuff. Nothing like I don't know, unscientific blah things that's thrown around a lot these days. But yeah, moving on. So, what do you think they are doing? This is a common sight. I personally have seen it at a wedding. It's like the bride and groom just go and point out in the sky. A lot of times it's more of a symbolic scenario. They don't like accurately see what's going on, but yeah, it's basically the Hindu tradition of watching Nizar and Alcor, which is Arundati and Vasishta in the Saptarishi constellation, which is a major. So the idea is that Mizar and Alcor are these closely paired stars, and in Hindu mythology, it's Arundati and Vasishta. They are like this ideal couple that pair with each other, and so it's like a tradition to go out and watch Mizar and Alcor and try to follow the same ideal married couple life when you're newly married. So this is quite common, I think, at least in South Indian Hindu weddings. But the yeah, there's also the saying in Sanskrit that there is Arundati Darshana Nyaya, which means you try to discover something that's unknown based on what you know. So basically, you point out at Mizar Vashishta, which is the brighter star. You can easily see at it, but Alcor is much more fainter. So you try to use the location of Mizar to locate Alcor. So that's the story behind it. And there's also a lot of things running around, like, oh, it's unique because it's the only one that's rotating around each other, or and stuff like that. And we had figured it out years ago, but most binary stars just go around their center of mass rather than rotating around one another. And also now we know that Mizar and Alcor are not a doublet system, but there are 6 stars involved in it. So Yeah, but hey, cute tradition. So that's that. And speaking of stellar couples, there is the story of the lunar mansions. So if you see the path of the moon takes across the sky. The ancient traditions, path of the sky, the path in the sky of the moon was split into 27 nakshatras or lunar mansions, which is a similar tradition seen in neighboring cultures too. So these 27 mansions or nakshatras, so according to mythologies, are all wives of Chandra, the moon god. And what happened was Chandra was very affectionate and spending way more time with Aldebaran rather than all his other wives, which is Rohini. And what happened was all the other wives were jealous and they complained to their father, and he cursed Chandra that he'll wither away and die. And then Chandra went back begging and saying, "Oh no, no please, I'll be more concerned about all my other wives too." And he was like, "Okay, I can't revert back the whole thing. It's what's done is done, but I can just lower the damage of the curse." So that's why the moon has phases as it travels across the sky. So the idea that Aldebaran and Moon are so close together is there are very few bright stars that have +1 magnitude stars that have an occultation regularly with the moon. Occultation is where the moon goes over the star and completely covers it. It's kind of like an eclipse. So yeah, so Aldebaran moon is something that is it's like a beautiful couple according to most Hindu traditions. And for example, in Kalidasa's play Abhignana Shakuntalam, so there's this famous line when Dushyanta and Shakuntala meet and rejoin again. The couple, they're compared with Rohini and Chandra. That's the exact line mentioned there. So yeah, that's another stellar romantic couple that's captivated Hindu traditions. Other things are the Milky Way. It's called the Akash Ganga, which is equivalent to the Ganga River, the Ganges River in India, which is considered sacred for Hindus. And the Pleiades, which is Kritika. Uh, there's another version where they are the wives of the Saptarishis, so the remaining six wives of the seven sages. So the Saptarishis, that's the constellation where Arundati and Vasishta are located. And then there are the zodiac constellations, which are same as what we see in the West. So those are some mainstream Hindu traditions, and this is where a typical talk would on Indian astronomy or stories would in generally end. Maybe a few more stories, but I wanted to point out and throw light on certain cultures and traditions that are usually missed out in uh, when speaking about India, and that is tribal astronomy. India is home to a very rich tribal culture. We have more than 700 communities with each of their own unique languages, cultures, and traditions, with varying degrees of influence from India's major religions. Mostly similar to Hinduism and other cultures in India, the traditional uh, the knowledge systems are usually oral. It's not much of writing down there, and there's always a lot of more grounded connection with nature, with the ecosystem and habitat that they live in. Maybe jungles, maybe deserts. So there's this cultural connection with whatever they live with, and they have been crucial in protecting India's uh, biodiversity in many instances since colonial times, since even like historic times, and even with against like governments that have happened over time in India since independence. So they have played a very crucial role in that sense. And yes, that's so much of folk art and music and traditions and culture that's passed down over generations amongst the tribal communities of India. And so, yeah, I would like to focus on a few tribes. It's just scratching the surface. Um, that's So I'll start off with the Gonds. The Gonds are a tribal community in central India. At their peak, they had their own kingdom as well. Anyone familiar might know Rani Durgavati, and there's also famous Komaram Bhim, whose highly fictionalized version was depicted by Junior NTR in the famous movie RRR. But Komaram Bhim in reality was a Gond revolutionary who fought against the Nizam of Hyderabad. But other than that, they have the Danderi festival, which is related to a strong, powerful dance, which is connecting to ancestral worship. There's a lot of art traditions, and mostly they have been associated with the jungles in that region, and also there's also like agrarian societies. So there's been a mix of both. So one of their major beliefs is in the region where there is the Orion constellation. So according to the West, it's like Orion is the hunter, and there's Taurus the bull. So for the Gonds, it is a scene of an agricultural scene, a farmer plowing through the sky with his two bullocks, which are the stars Rigel and Beetlejuice is the farmer. And there's also a basket kept below the bulls for harvest, collecting the harvest, and there's a winnowing, seed winnowing that's used to remove the husk. And that basket is depicted by Canis Major, which is which has Sirius as well. And the in terms of the Taurus constellation, there is the Hyades and Aldebaran, which are seen as a bird with two eggs, and the Pleiades cluster is a bunch of stones that is thrown at those birds to hunt them down. So it depicts the various, it has both an agrarian kind of thing and also a hunting aspect. So it's more of a daily life depiction in the sky. And there are other beliefs, including the sky. In terms of Ursa Major, it's an old lady sleeping on the cot, and there are three thieves trying to steal the cot because it's made of expensive metals. On its the stands are made of expensive metals, bright metals, which might indicate the coloration of those stars. There's also the reason that the thieves are like chasing the old lady and they're pulling on the cot. So that's why the rectangular shape of Ursa Major is kind of deformed. And so this also, the story goes that the old woman has to always stay awake so that the thieves don't steal the cot. So that possibly indicates that the story goes to a scenario where Ursa Major was circumpolar over India, which is pre-1000 BC. Of course, it's a long speculation, but it's a possible theory that this story has been passed down over generations for a very, very long time. And another unique aspect about Gonds are the Leo, Virgo, and Scorpio region of the sky, where it is a death procession, where usually cultures depict mythical heroes and powerful gods or something like that. This is something very poignant, that they show a death procession and show how life is very transitional. And the Milky Way is a path for animals, and the comet is God's broom. So yeah, that's and again, another interesting thing is that the comet isn't necessarily evil in many of these cultures. There are other Central Indian tribes that consider it as a show of God's power, or it's sometimes even shown as a sign of God looking upon people. So that's it's usually we are just used to thinking about like comets as being bad omens, but there is also communities that see it the other way around, which makes it interesting. Next, there are the Kolams, again from central India, mostly in Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. They have this, along with many of the other traditions which kind of overlap with the Gonds, they have this unique aspect of predicting the strength of the monsoon based on observing the Pegasus square. So, for the Kolams, the Pegasus square is a watering hole where many animals gather together, and based on how well the visibility is of each animal when Pegasus is up in the sky, um, that indicates how strong the monsoon is going to be, the arriving monsoon and the receding. So, based on in which direction the clouds approach, they were able to predict, and they also pass down this knowledge system that you can understand about how strong the monsoon is going to be over time through these kind of stories of, there's a watering hole in the sky and there are animals gathering in whichever animal is more prominent. So based on that, that's passage of information in this form of a story, which is very interesting. And there's also the Warli tribe. They're very famous for the Warli art, which went from ritualistic tradition to much more mainstream thanks to the artist Jivya Somamashe. And yeah, today if you go on the streets of Bangalore or Mumbai, you can see a lot of the side walls being decorated with Warli art. And here there's a couple who is newly married Warli couple, and they're also unique in that aspect that they closely live with the jungle, but they also have an agrarian sort of mix, and so they worship the tiger god Vagoba, and because they closely live and interact with tigers, which are very prevalent in that region of India. So that's another unique aspect about the Warlis. So for them, if you look again at the same region where there's Orion, Taurus, and Gemini, and the Pleiades, so it's a marriage scene where Aldebaran is the bride and the Hyades is the groom, and there's the Pleiades, which is drums for the wedding, and Orion is like the wedding guests, and they're all moving together towards Gemini, which depicts the marriage hall. So yeah, in all of this, I'm sorry I couldn't get a lot of the genuine names of the authentic names that have been used in those languages, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of them. But yeah, for now I'm just giving the equivalent Western sky constellations to give a broader understanding of how and where each depiction is. And just to show how diverse the just in this region of central India, how people see the Pleiades itself. So for the Banjaras, it's jewelry. It's like a jumko, and for the Kolams, it is a pack of birds. For the Korku, it's minced meat. For the Gonds, it is stones that are being thrown at the birds, and that's compared with like mainstream Greek mythology and Indian mythology, where it's usually like maidens and women. Moving away from central India to the northeast, in Mizoram, we have the Mizos, and according to their tradition, Ursa Major is a dead soldier, a dead warrior, who was found dead, and at the moment when he was dead, they found a wasp buzzing around his knee, and his leg and head was decapitated. So the wasp there could be possibly indicating that they also observed Mizar and Alcor, and yeah, so it's more of a symbol of tradition and hope, which I mostly got information about through this article with beautiful art by Alisa Pachau, but I couldn't get further information on the story, the deeper meanings and story behind it. But that's the story from Mizoram. Moving on to India's islands, in the Andaman and Nicobar, Then the Nicobar, we have the Nicobarese, and for them again, a lot of these stories again vary from island to island. So one of the common themes is seeing Ursa Major, not minor there. That's more like a hen coop, where the hen coop kept usually in Nicobarese villages is something like that, where there's a stick and there's like a box where the hen is protected from animals that might be running around trying to hunt them like dogs. So that's the analogy. There's also another story where you see it like a bunch of coconut, and then there's a tool that's cutting, so the way it rotates indicates how a tool is used to cut the coconut from the tree. That's another story. There's also a depiction of the Scorpio as a coconut tree, and the crux, the Southern Cross constellation, as being like a dagger to hunt fish. Yeah, there's more as well, but again, it just varies so much, and a bit of it's like a lot of these stories are sometimes overlapping, sometimes very unique. So I would actually recommend you to go check out the paper Wahi et al. 2018. It's just amazing to read about the diversity. And yeah, so you can see that there's just so much diversity in just looking at the same constellation in this one country with so many people, and it's just amazing. And I feel like I personally didn't know many of these stories before I made this talk, and yeah, I feel like we should be knowing more about them, about a lot of these stories, and it just feels like it's understudied. And who knows what other knowledgeable systems have been passed on through as stories over time. And yeah, so something that we should celebrate, and also know about the indigenous and tribal traditions of India, and celebrate it across the world. So I'd like to thank for the opportunity. And uh, another great place to visit if you're interested in this topic is the Tribal Museum in Bhopal. Amazing, beautiful museum. And yeah, I would like to end there. These are a few of my sources that I used, and thank you. With that, I'll end. Thank you so much.